All right. Hello, friends. I'm back home, if you can't tell. Back from a card party in Seattle. I hope you've enjoyed some of my content over there, doing all my little trade deals and whatnot. Had so much fun, and I have so much to talk about regarding that experience. And kind of what I want to discuss in this video is what card party in itself made me realize and learn about the Pokemon hobby. So, I'll just start off and say the Seattle trip was awesome. Being able to go on something like that with my fiance, get a nice hotel in the city, walk around, have a lot of good food. It was an exceptional time. I really can't be happy enough to have an excuse to go to another place and do something for Pokemon. Picked up a lot of cards if you've seen some of my shorts, kind of going through my different pickups. I'll probably do a more detailed video later about all my collection now and what it's looking like, because it has changed pretty significantly since I last did a video about that. But for now, that's what you got. That's how you get a little snapshot of what I've been buying. Haven't been buying much from like eBay or anything. I think nowadays I'm gonna just focus on these card shows and those in-person deals, because I believe those connections sometimes are worth more than the money. And I'll talk about that right now a little bit. Even before I left for Seattle, I had a Facebook Marketplace deal for one of my slabs. It was a Metagross, and I met someone who lived pretty close to me, and we sat down at this park and had an authentic conversation about Pokemon and life and all these things for about an hour. And I remember going back home and thinking, wow, what an awesome experience that was. How cool that was. And I think that feeling has only been amplified with my experience from Card Party. I knew going into Card Party that this is a celebration of Pokemon, and it's very much for Pokemon fans, by Pokemon fans. But I really didn't know what to expect. I don't want to say I had like low expectations necessarily, but I kind of just assumed it was going to be like any other card show I've been to. That was definitely not the case. I've never felt more emotional and connected to others through Pokemon than I did at this event. And there's a lot to break down there, there's a lot to talk about, but I guess if I were to just say something overall, the attitude and just the energy that people had there was high and excited, and overall people were very happy and kind. There's a lot of kids everywhere. It felt very safe. It felt about as opposite of toxic as it could be, I guess you could say. It was incredibly wholesome. And some of the shows that I saw, or I guess you would say like the events that were hosted, yeah, like I said, I got emotional. And it really reminded me of what actually is important in this hobby, and was a great wake-up call to that side of me that is childlike and that does have that sense of wonder and just loves Pokemon. And I'm very thankful for that. Now, to get more into detail about some of my experiences, I'm a fan of the Card Lounge podcast. I listen to a few of those episodes every so often. It's a nice thing to just have on in the background. I've been following Twice Baked Jake for a while. RoboSkills is a really cool guy. So I've always enjoyed their podcast. So when I saw that they were filming live, I decided, oh yeah, I definitely gotta go check that out. And I remember even on that first day, I actually had a guy from Rare Candy come up to me and my fiance, and we did a pack battle, which was random. I haven't done a pack battle in years, so I don't really open packs. If you guys don't know that about me, I'm just not into the gambling aspect of Pokemon, which is actually a video I'll be talking about later. But yeah, I told this guy, he asked, oh, what are you most excited for? And the thing that first came to mind was like, oh yeah, I'm excited to see the Card Lounge podcast live. And it was really fun. I going into it, there wasn't too many people for that event compared to other ones, which I actually kind of appreciated because it was like calm. I think Card Lounge doesn't really attract as many like kids as maybe like Deep Pocket Monsters stuff would. So it was very relaxed and enjoyable. But on their podcast, they had Beard Dad Cards, who's someone I've seen in the YouTube space. I've definitely seen his short form content. He, to me, was always just like another coop, another wholesome vendor that likes to give out free cards. And there's a lot of those in this space now, which is awesome, which is great to see. So I was like glad that he was coming to the forefront. But until this podcast, I didn't realize how successful he's been and how much of a niche he's carved out with his live form content, having the chat involved, and just hearing that the chat would buy cards for people at the table. That's incredible, man. That's new levels of interaction and connection in this Pokemon card hobby that I didn't even know existed. So that really spoke to me. And hearing the way that he talked about his vending was like no one else. They were asking him about the business side, kind of, and just pretty understandable questions about, like, yeah, how are you going to grow your business, or like basically kind of involving the profits that he's receiving. And he said he doesn't think about that. That's not important to him. He barely even checks his YouTube revenue. And that shocked me as, I don't know, just like an adult. But he has 2 jobs. He has a primary job, and then he's also trying to do YouTube and these shows full time. Respect to him, man. The grind must be so real. But there's a very significant moment up on stage where they were asking him about just any cool experiences from Card Party. And he got emotional. And it was hard to not also get emotional when he was so touched by this. But there was a wonderful kid here at the show who was clearly going through a very tough situation. I don't know the details, but, you know, they were hooked up to, you know, they had tubes in their nose, they were bald. So you can only assume that they are dealing with something horrible. And he was saying that this person, this kid, this you know, I don't want to I don't want to get emotional, but this kid really wanted to see him and interact with him. And I even saw later during the show that he streamed with this kid for hours and hours, and they're just giving away to the community. And that was awesome. That was really cool. And he also talked more about just his attitude about giving things away, or like trades, like not worrying about 80% sometimes. Like if it's a cheap thing, he's willing to trade it, and that he even exclusively builds inventory to be able to do that by having popular cards. I know he mentioned like the 3 legendary dogs from Kron Zenith being a good like trade piece that a lot of people want in their binder. And it's like cheap enough that he can trade it out. You know, it's like less than $20. Maybe now that's different, but he was talking about that. And the podcast continued. It was still very enjoyable. It was really informative and fun, and had people ask questions, and it was a great experience. That was still very fun for me. But after that, I remember talking with my fiance. I was like, wow, that was emotional. That really hit something. And that made me just remember that this entire card party, right? People have traveled from across the states. Their families, you know, they're people that care. They're people that love this hobby and love that passion. It spread, and things are more meaningful than just money and a pretty cardboard. And there's really a deeper thing there that you can't really explain. I don't want to be corny and like say like, you know, that's love there, but it really does feel like that. And I've never been in a situation where people give each other such I don't want to say unwarranted, just such a genuine respect for strangers and for these other people. And Pokemon has allowed that. I mean, we look back to when we were, the origination of this hobby, right? It's all been curated to be a safe place and also to encourage trading and interacting and goodwill and like all these things. So I think it being that, it's now just grown and blossomed. And sometimes as collectors, we get caught up in this space of like, oh my God, this hobby's getting so popular now. And everything's so expensive and this sucks. But it's actually a beautiful thing, because the more people in the hobby, the more that love and that positivity is genuinely just it's like a fire, it spreads and it burns, and it burns in all of us. And I think, yeah, I guess Card Party really lit that flame again. And with my content as well, there was a Pat Flynn did a thing about for YouTube creators, just talking about the YouTube space, and Powder TCG they had come up, who I guess has also been a successful creator, and he was saying how he's done this 1 pack a day challenge for over 1,000 days now, and only recently has become successful, and it's been dedicated. And for someone like me, that was definitely motivating, but I know I don't really have any margins that I want to reach, or like I don't really have like tactile goals in terms of, oh, I want this many subscribers, like da 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 da. To me, I'm happy as long as like people are commenting and I'm talking to people and people watch my videos and like respond intelligently and like create a dialogue. As long as that's happening, I'm good. And that's been happening, so I'm content. So, but hearing from his perspective of that grind and just how tough it is, it made me realize, yeah, I've even had days where it's like, how do you get through the muck? What if you have a bad day and you don't want to film and you don't want to reach out to people or whatever? And they gave some great advice, and that kind of touches to the previous topic too, of like, you never know who is watching your content. And this goes for everyone out here too, just as like an inspiration piece. Someone could be having the worst day ever and be ready to make horrible decisions in their life because of how unhappy they are. And your content could touch that person for whatever reason. It doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it just gives a piece of nostalgia from being a kid, and then they just wake up and remember, and they don't do that thing. And just realizing that my content could be helping people in that way, I guess I just never really thought about that. I never considered that. And I know I'm still, small guy, whatever. But that, once again, just like that flame, like I felt new energy behind my action and behind my words and behind this, really, that I definitely had before, but now it's definitely, I don't know, it feels more meaningful now. Before, with this YouTube thing, I've just been, like I said, I just have been doing it for fun. Like, everything I do in my life has been for fun, for the most part. If I don't enjoy something, it's hard to do it. That's part of having ADHD, and it sounds very childlike, but it is, and I've accepted that. But that experience just changed my thought process of like, sure, it's for fun, and I'm gonna do it as long as it is fun, but if it's not fun sometimes, that's okay too, because it's important to have a voice and have a safe space, and it's important to help people. And it's fun to help people. And I guess for me as a creator, it's hard to know that I am helping people. But you never know, right? You never know. You never know who that video reaches. So that's why it's important to always be kind and to have fun and to laugh and be genuine and I hope it doesn't sound like I'm glazing too much or anything. Like, but yeah, Card Party really, really reminded me of those things that I haven't experienced in a while as a Pokemon collector who I just sit in my house and do homework and hang out with my fiance and play video games, and I'm not really the type to push into these community spaces, even if I have made content encouraging others to do so. But this really has made me want to do that more. I see that Card Party's happening again in May of 2026 here in San Diego, and I'll definitely be going, man. I'll definitely be going. I don't really want to make this title necessarily about Card Party. I don't want it to be. I don't know. I think it goes beyond that. But once again, thank you to Deep Pocket Monster and the work he's done and the community he's built. I could tell when he was there that he was stressed. It's probably a lot of work to do stuff like that, but this has helped a lot of people, and it's been a positive space for Pokemon, and we need that. And if you've made it this far in this video, thank you so much. I appreciate it for watching. I love if you leave a comment and like if you enjoy it. And I hope to talk to you guys, but just know in your day-to-day life, let that be a reminder of just express admiration when it's due. And be thankful, I think. I think we forget that sometimes. So, yeah. Very different, or maybe as a viewer, this doesn't feel like a very different video for you to watch. But for me as a creator, this has felt very different to film. This has felt very raw. And not saying that I've not been genuine. I feel like I am pretty genuine. But this felt very, very just vulnerable. And I hope to continue that. I hope to try to be able to continue this complete transparency. So I'll see you guys in the next one. And yeah, stay minty, stay mindful.